All right, let's jump into it. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. What's up? What's up? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Welcome back. Welcome back to another live Q&A session. All right. So, of course, in these videos, we go over all questions that are left in our MMU chat for the students. We'll also take some questions on YouTube. And we'll just go through, right? We can take some questions from the Discord as well. And we'll just go through, answer questions, and have a good time, right? Everything is on the table when it comes to, metrics, charts, and so forth, right? Maybe you want to ask a personal question too. Maybe you say, "Hey, Relentless, what color is your eyes?" And I'll say brown, right? All right, so let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. So I'm gonna pull up a couple of things here. Let me just get the YouTube stream. Did I not open Thinkorswim? Jeez, Louise. Wow, not good. But that's okay. It's not a problem. Okay, let me open up the YouTube stream here. Christian, how you guys doing? What's up? We got a few people tuning in. ED. I'm gonna pop out the chat. Good morning, Pastor. So yeah, we got a couple people tuning in. I'm gonna pull up the let's jump into Discord here. Grab these Q&A questions. We only got a few, which is why I'm doing it on the broader channel, right? Let's pull this over. We only got a few. So the first question is asking about Stream Deck. Stream Deck, I got it yesterday. I used Thinkorswim instance to prevent lag. My main for trading to my watch list. My Stream Deck keeps focusing on two Thinkorswim instance. Yeah, the Stream Deck, to be honest, I'm not gonna be able to be much help. Maybe Marcelo uses it. I know streamers use this sometimes to like help with hotkeys and like faster let's say shortcuts. But I'm not too familiar with Stream Deck at all, to be honest. Um I'm not gonna be much help with this question. So this is a question we'll have to forward to maybe Marcelo, who is a little bit more tech savvy on this side of things. Yeah. So the valuable asset, we'll have to DM you backslash. See, like I don't understand any of this stuff here. Okay, coming down. We're gonna come back to this question. Let me put a I guess I'll put an X for now. We'll come back to it. Just so we know we didn't answer that question. So question for Marcelo, do you think these penny stocks have certain patterns that are more obvious? If so, which ones would you say? Throwing bullets, which we did speak in a mentor session recently last week. Do the penny stocks have certain patterns that are more obvious? I would say the answer is no. Um, we can have stocks that are more expensive that can have patterns that are, the same, level, let's say. Um, is this thing where, people can ask like, hey, which pattern is your favorite pattern, or which patterns do you see more? You know, they're kind of all as good. They're equally as good and equally as risky, right? And so when it comes to a stock being cheaper, you know, it's always going to fall back on our criteria for trading a stock and our criteria for getting into a trade. So of course, the usual things, the volume, the percentage gain on the day. Sometimes we'll check to see if there is a breaking news headline. Of course, that in itself brings volume to the stock. From there, we get into more of our technicals, right? What type of pre-market pattern have we been seeing, and is this looking good heading into the open, right? So you kind of put yourself in that position of coming into the day, and what is the stock looking like? If it's checking off all those things on the criteria, then you keep going through the progression, right? So if in front of us we're seeing, and it depends on the candlesticks, right? Like if we're seeing, a particular, BNAI, for example, this one did take off in the afternoon session. You look back at a chart like this on the 5 minute, Initially we're sideways, right? And we're having this bit of a wedge here. It didn't break out. I would have loved to see a breakout here earlier, but it didn't happen, in this way. And that's fine. Let's see, segment. Let's pull up the drawing tools here. Uh, let's see, can I zoom in? Yeah, we're initially seeing a bit of a wedge here. Right here is where I would want to see the breakout. It's not going to play out in this way, right, where we could have broken out like that. But we continued, and so we widened up the wedge a little bit. If we're still watching at this, we're coming across, and we can see that it didn't really sell off. Volume has been decreasing, but right here, as we get over VWAP again, we can see volume jumps up right in these two candlesticks there on 5. So for 10 minutes right here, volume was increasing, and then this thing took off. So what was high of day at this point? 409. So it really comes down to what the market is giving us. What is the market giving us, right? And from there, real time, we have to do our best paying attention to the candlesticks, the bigger picture pattern, and the volume. So sometimes you got to zoom out of the level 2, zoom out of the tape, and look at the bigger time frames. So, not just the 1, not just the 3, but also the 5. And sometimes people will even look at the 10-minute time frame. That way you get a bigger picture view of what's going on. But I would say the stock was pretty, dead up until the volume spike came in around noon. And that was a good indication that we could start to see something, especially by 12:30 when we pushed over high of day. With at the time, this was almost high of day volume. So these are the small subtleties that you want to notice. It's like a change in trend from us just volume decreasing, 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 to then 15 minutes later, whoa, almost high of day volume, and we're pushing over high of day. This is a sign for us to start paying attention and to know that something can happen. So let's come back to the questions here. Hey, 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 RT. Biggest event. Okay. Guys, do not spam the chat. Kumar, do not spam the chat, or you can get banned, brother. So yeah, in terms of penny stocks and stocks priced over $1, you know, the patterns are just as obvious. They're just as good. They're just as risky, right? One isn't really better than the other. What is a little different though is risk management, right, in terms of share size. When a stock is pretty cheap, 50 cents, you know, for you to see the same type of gain that you've been seeing on a stock at $5, $10, you'll have to use a little bit more size naturally, right? Because it's so cheap. If we go up 1 penny and you have 1,000 shares, that's $10. And so it's all relative. For a stock at $20 that can move up or down $1 a share in 3 seconds, 1,000 shares could be a lot of size, because of course you could be down $1 a share pretty easily and be down $1,000 in seconds. So you have to take that into consideration. Use a share size that's appropriate and comfortable for you, and then from there you push forward. So keep that in mind. Share size is something you want to keep an eye on from a stock at below $1 and so forth going up. I'm waiting for too much confirmation on my dip entries. Then I feel high and trades is ruined. The trades are ruined. Okay, so waiting a little too long for confirmation. How to act with less confirmation. So that's a good question. Wanting to be a little bit more decisive in key areas and acting with confidence, being firm and being quick and clean trades. So and some of this does come back to the previous question as well, right? So it's going to come down to paying attention to the key indicators that we know and love. And sometimes even above that, you have to be courageous. I think a lot of the times we know where the entry should be. And this is a stock I really, I mark my words. I ended red on Friday, right? Mark my words that into this new month, this stock right here was the same stock like AWIN a few weeks ago. Mark my words that yesterday is my last day. watching a stock like this ever. I know what needs to be done. And so coming back to the question, a lot of the times we'll know what we need to do, but fear is sometimes holding us back. Fear is sometimes holding us back. And so this is the thing where, it's a mental thing sometimes where you have to fight the urge. You know, our body naturally has these sensations where it's trying to protect itself, right? Run, fight, run, flight, fear, whatever they call it, right? Those couple of things. Our body has these natural sensations, and so sometimes you have to fight against the instinct because in this market and on these charts, there's sometimes areas that can seem dangerous, but we know on these pullbacks is sometimes the best place to be in, right? But we know that there's risk, and so sometimes that prevents us from getting in early and decisively. And a big part of this is understanding and accepting the risk in the trades. So, let's look at this chart right here, and we can look at the 5 minute as well, but, we'll zoom in on the one for now. But BNAI on Friday, we had a high of 701, and then we started pulling back, pulling back, pulling back. We priced in a low here at 545 before a bounce up to 580. So a good 40-cent bounce in here. We consolidated sideways, and then we came back down. And look at this thing right here. 45 versus 48 lows. And I was here watching at this, and the fear of thinking, man, I don't want to be in, and this thing coming down even more on me, and I'm worrying more so about just P&L rather than, hey, I can be in an area where we've already proven to bounce up aggressively with a stop against the level. So if I was willing to be quicker at accepting the loss, right? Because that's what this thing is, right? You had to position yourself in a place where there's limited downside risk, right? So, areas where we've proven to already have support we're risking against versus expectations. Hey, if I'm long down here and we can hold up, how high can we go? If I'm long down here and it doesn't work out, I'm willing to lose X, Y, and Z. And but we're buying in a place where we've proven that we've seen support. And so even coming back to this area here, where we consolidated a little longer around 1 p.m., we had lows at 580, 585, 583, and then over here again, 585, 589. How many times are we going to come down and hold a certain area before we decide, hey, I'm going to go in? And so let's this is how we do it, right? Let's say what's the high? 620, 620, 626, 617, basically 620. So what's the range there? You got, 580 to 620, 40-cent range. Getting in there with something reasonable. Hey, can I be in as closest to the support as possible, which will in turn minimize my risk? And you can still put a backstop in place because we have to, right? And we can even risk to the extremes knowing that, or let's say we can accept the risk to the extremes knowing that it could come down, but it's proven, right, that it's holding up this area. So if I'm in at 86, let's say, I can say, man, RT, 76, 70, risking that 10, 12 cents here, to get that push back up to 620. Am I comfortable risking, 10 to 15 cents to make 30 cents? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Am I comfortable risking 10 to 15 cents in this type of circumstance? And this is the analysis for every single stock, depending on the price range and et cetera, the range bound and all that, right? Am I willing to risk XYZ amount, in this case 10 to 15 cents, to make 20 to 30 cents back on the high side? I would say it's unrealistic to expect to make the entire 40 cents, but this is what managing risk is. If it comes down, even if it flushes down and we lose more than we would like, we're out of the trade because our hypothesis is not working. But other than that, can we ride the wave back up? So we're down and then up, down and then up, over and over again here. In just this range alone, it's like it gave like $1.40 a share, and we weren't even uptrending, which is why we can make money during consolidation, right? but we have to position ourselves and we have to be firm. Sometimes what gets me is being too hyper aggressive with the scalps in these areas. And so, as I mentioned, this stock was the same thing as AWIN, and I have a plan. Now I have a plan, and I will execute on this plan next time a stock like this comes around. This is the type of stock that if I put out aggressive size and I'm being comfortable and confident. Let's not say comfortable. Let's say confident and fierce, right? Courageous in the key areas. This is a stock that I could be up $10,000 on. You know, the risk is there, but with this type of uptrend and strength that we had, it was there. The opportunity was there for the taking. So I know some longer answers, but it needs to be that way. So coming down, I'm still under PDT. I have been profitable for some months. Now traded half of my account each day, and sometimes not the full amount each day. I feel very confident to say that where am I? I feel very confident to say that I wish I was over PDT so I can take 2K shares, but this isn't the case just yet. My small account is about to double when T1 hits in a week. Do you have any comments / suggestions / tips? I feel I will take more trades since my hyper scalping strategy seems to work aggressively, right? Or Jesus Christ. Why is it that for somebody who speaks English their entire life, it's like I come on here, I can't talk, I can't read. Jesus Christ. Ay ay ay. I'd love to hear the teacher's comments. So being in a cash account, feeling confident, feeling ready to push forward throughout T1 is already hit. So this question was old, May 26th. We do come in on Sundays, which does, sometimes is a little bit of a delay between the question and the answer. But yeah, so being under PDT, doing well, trading half the account each day, feeling confident to size up, and having the instant settlement day over day. I mean, to be honest, I'd say continue to push. Like there's no reason to really slow down. Um, there's no reason to really slow down. With the smaller size, you're doing well. You're doing well in the cash account. Now you have more trades at your disposal. The hyper scalping strategy is, part of it is being, aggressive. So yeah, I'd say to continue to push forward, continue to be firm. Um, I we can do another session. By the way, this individual was in the manifesting my MMU manifesting my future challenge. So we can do another Chris, we can do another mentor session to look over the trader view stats. But for sure, right? I think if you're doing well and you have the ability to take a couple more trades, if you're seeing those setups throughout the day, definitely don't force it, right? But if you're seeing the setups throughout the day, keep pushing, right? For example, BNAI later into the afternoon. I mean, this was what 12 p.m., 12 to 2, right? Market time. So the open isn't always the best time of the day depending on the market sentiment. It usually is, but not always, right? We know the market is irrational. Sometimes there's a small opportunity there, but it seems like the trend is coming back where we're seeing more stocks in like power hour and later into the day. We had what was that stock? SMMT, I think. SMMT that did a huge move. Yeah, SMMT. This one gave a huge move all the way around 3 p.m. 1500. Yeah, 3 p.m. So halt, resumption, going higher, pushed up, pulled back, and then so if the opportunities are there, I say keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. What are the top 3 pieces of advice you would give to a trader a couple of years into the journey and getting frustrated going back and forth over PDT? Seems to do well in the sim, but can become a deer in the headlights when a trade goes against me more than I thought. And I hope for, okay, so this definitely can lead into averaging down. So doing well in the sim. So three pieces of advice for someone who's been trading for years but getting frustrated going back and forth over PDT. Do well in the sim but having trouble when they're caught in loss. So it seems like you're doing well, except the fact of when a trade goes against you more than you would like. So this question here actually is telling me a lot of things, right? So here's the thing. Coming back to some of what we said before, accepting the risk. This field is not a linear field, trading in general. And as traders, we have to sign this unwritten contract in terms of accepting things. You know, there's certain things about this field that we cannot change. For example, there can be a great setup, S tier, everything that we need, volume, candlesticks, no resistance in sight. We can even have VWAP below us. We can have big bids below us. 100,000 share buyer right below us at the key level for the breakout or even for the bounce. And the setup could still fail and could still fail hard. It could reject hard. And in fact, coming right back to BNAI right here, actually, it had a lot going for it, right? In terms of looking good and, us potentially being able to see a good move. Let's bring up the segment again. This way we get some drawing tools. So we already had a nice move up, right? And this was essentially looking like a repeat of this area here where we had a downwards trend / consolidation and then a move up right here. Downwards trend / consolidation and now looking for a move up. So this is, it was doing the same type of thing again, and you would have expected, what was this percentage wise? 52%. This gave a 52% plus move. And right here, it's like the same thing, you know, but despite the initial push starting off well, it came up and slammed back down. And it's one of those places where, was the stock a little extended? You could say so. But we've also seen stocks like this go all the way to $15 to $20. So why is it that this one had trouble here? It's one of these things where it's part of the deal. You have to accept this. And it's why I keep saying, don't only risk for what you think should happen, but risk for the extremes of what could happen. Okay, I think that the stock could go down 20 cents if it doesn't work. That's what I think. What I think and what the stock does are sometimes not the same, right? We cannot read the future. So even if you're thinking, I'll be out tightly, even on those cheaper stocks sub $1, hey, I'm risking 2 cents. You can lose like 8-10 cents in a blink of an eye. So you have to accept the risk to the extremes. Understand that you could be in a trade with a great setup, tight support levels, and you could still get caught in a halt down. Like, you have to simulate this stuff happening to you, so when it does, it's not a surprise. You have to accept it happening to you, so when it does, it's not a surprise. And you'll be able to say, you look at me on the stream and say, man, RT took that loss like on the chin like a champ. Didn't complain, didn't average down, didn't revenge trade. It is because standing here right now, I know that even tomorrow I could take 10,000 shares on a great setup, and it could be teleporting down in secondary offering. I could lose $15,000. You got to accept that. You have to accept that. You have to accept it with where you are with small size, and you have to accept it with big size. You have to just accept it, knowing that there's risk, and it can be irrational and to the extreme. So whenever the stock is not following our thesis, we just cut the trade, smile, move on, and that will give us the best odds of doing well. Staying focused, having a clear mind, and pushing through. It's like being a boxer, and you game plan, you started the fight, the opponent gave you an uppercut. You got punched in the mouth. You know, you thought that you thought you studied this person. They never go for uppercuts. They always throw a left jab and then a right hook. You plan for the left jab, right hook. You plan for some other things. But here's this. In fact, forget the uppercut. Here's this person using their foot. This person is using their foot in a boxing fight, and they're not playing by the rules, right? That's what would happen. That's what happens here in the stock market. Before you know it, this person is doing a spinning back kick and back flipping in the ring. That's what these stocks do. They're irrational. So we gotta accept that as part of the risk, right? So I gotta copy over this question here, and maybe we can post it to the broader community. So maybe there can be some help in case anybody does use Stream Deck. But yeah, let me pull over the YouTube questions as well. Um, let's see. Maybe there might be one or two people out there who did I not at everyone. Can I still do that? I think I might be able to. Maybe there's somebody out there that oh, I was not supposed to do that. That's okay though. Sir Clive, Sir Clive and um Brian, is that Brian? I do apologize. But that's okay. But anyhow, Sir Clive and I, we spoke about our basements. Our basements are in the depths. Our basements are in the gallows, brother. Um, yeah, let's see the YouTube questions. You had to be careful on these live streams, I tell you. But it's all good in the neighborhood here. Let's see. Big Steve. Next month, brother. Yo, I'm gonna post the monthly recap after this video. I'm gonna make it right now after this video is done. Survived the month, man. I survived the bloodbath. Man, what an interesting month. I mean, I struggled. I really was going. It wasn't slow. From about we can go to the calendar from about April, like April 15th, April 12th. Slow momentum for me, man. Slow momentum. Could not really get anything going. Small days, but I was making sure to not be red. And then I think early May, momentum started coming, but I think I was just too aggressive. I was too aggressive. The price improvement had went to the depths. The price improvements had went to the depths. Like terrible fills, or if you want to say appropriate fills for people who use different brokers. I mean, depending how you want to say it. But as we know, and again, AWIN and the same thing as this stock here, BNAI, these stocks are very tradable, very, very tradable. You just can't be hyper scalping like a maniac with crazy spreads and, you know, fills on the ask. Like that's common sense, right? But what's difficult sometimes is, when the spreads are tighter, it's like a small, small subtlety. The spreads are tighter, and the stock is a little bit more linear in terms of those, the move up in the bids and not dropping out. You capitalize doing it. So you got to be quick to flip the switch, and not only flip the switch, but gain that mindset of, hey, bigger picture move, 5-minute setups, extended dips, holding a little longer. You go from that 5-second hold time that we have to a 30-second hold time, 40-second hold time, being in on some of these key 1-minute pullbacks and seeing a bounce. I mean, if we do look at it, almost after every red candle, there was a good bounce. Not everyone, but most of them. Even right here, right? There's a bounce. 64 to 93, there's a bounce. 06 to 67, there's a bounce. 16 to 49. So there was some decent opportunities in here if we could have been in. Tight stops, and watching for the move up, especially in the uptrend. The consolidation, once we had really, and I could see myself taking some losses in a candle like this, but assuming that I'm doing what I need to do on the way up, it's like paper cuts at the top. Like you get back 100, $200, $300 from what, 3, 4K of gains. Like it doesn't matter. And right here, once we get the base in here, capitalizing. But yeah, going back to so this is the year. Let's pull this over. This is the year so far. This is the year. I mean, it's been a pretty good year. I mean, it's been a great. Even if the year was to end today, like it's been a great year. You know, I remember, man. I remember back when I was, in the depths, working at Amazon, small wage, small and low hourly wage. It's like slavery back then. Doing all 25,000 packages in 2, 3 hours sorting. Understaffed and still getting the job done every day. The shift, man, the shift was just, they had us working like some dogs in there. But anyhows, going from that to then going live, still working there, and then eventually leaving. It's like we can always say that we could be better. We could have done better. There could be adjustments, and there is, right? But we don't want to overlook the fact of what's happening now, which is that this in itself is insane money. This is insane money. It really and truly is, and it is life changing. It's allowed me to do things that in the past I could only dream of doing. I've done some personal things that I haven't really said on this stream, and I think this is coincidence, right? But when I think it's pure coincidence because I still thought mentally I was trading well, but around this time here in April, I spent the most money I've ever spent ever in my whole life. I don't think this had anything to do with this. Just again, I'm gonna stress that, but I spent a lot of money in this time here, and it was on all meaningful things. All like nothing silly. Like how somebody would somebody would go to like a jewelry store or I mean, not none of the garbage that you would think, right? Like for the usual nonsense. None of that. All meaningful things, like putting money towards smart things. So it was really like liberating. The sense of freedom to be able to even do the things that I did. I mean, it felt good. It felt good and it feels good, and it's really crazy to think that that we're averaging this kind of money here in a day. Back at Amazon when I would do a full 60-hour shift, 60-hour week, I wouldn't even make this much. I would not make this much. And of course, this money still has to be taxed, right? So we set aside money for good old Uncle Sam. Taxes. I really wanted to show you guys my taxes. I said I was going to do it. I was advised to not do it by my accountant, but there's still certain things that I can say. But for those of you out there, once you get to the place where you're making a lot of money, once you become a successful trader, you're putting out the size, you have to seek professional advice, right, from CPAs, and set up everything in a way where it benefits you. This system is insane how they have everything for. I mean, it's just insane stuff, man. But some people they'll pay quarterly, some people annually, depending on how they have their business set up. But there's different ways to go about it. Different things will make sense for different people depending on your situation. Some of you guys have other income, and despite doing well in trading is not your main source of income, not even close. So you might already have a tax structure. For different people it'll look very different, right? And even for people who are married and have kids and things like that. So but yeah, you do what you have to do. Let's see. Let me come back to the YouTube questions here. Uh, how much did you make this month? How much did you make in the month? Okay, when you became profitable. I think that was in the simulator, or was that in live account? My first month, my first month live calendar. I think I was profitable in the sim. I could sign into my sim account. My first month live in May was 4,800 bucks. And what's crazy back here is the volume that I was trading. In fact, we can jump to it quickly. But I do think my first profitable month was in the sim. 40,000 shares of volume a day. 40,000 shares of volume. I was still hyper scalping, but with babies. This, back here I knew, man. Back here I knew, I already knew what it was like. My hold times will seem different because I was importing. It was not per execution. It was like an aggregate, so it wouldn't like count for each time I bought and sold. But even with small size of 500 shares, this is like me using 500 shares here. Back here is how I knew that over time, if I can, and look at, you can say it took me a long time, and it's because of my financial situation. I think, I was up shit's creek with debt. I had no money to trade, so I borrowed every dime except 2,500. So my entire account was debt. So I couldn't afford to use size early because if I didn't, do well, then I wouldn't really have another chance. So I had to go slow, and I went slow for as long as I needed to go slow until I could go fast. That's how it needs to be. Because, as I mentioned, with size right now, one day could mean minus 10,000. And if that happens to you in the wrong place in your career, it can cripple you, and mentally and, confidence wise, just like that. You can be someone who's capable, and you can be wiped out of the game in no time. Yeah, set aside money for tax, get a CPA. It's normal tax. So to be honest with you, man, it does vary. Like what is it like 37% for capital gains, but it can vary depending on like certain variables. Again, like, do you have other businesses? Like, there's depreciation in these type of, like, if you let's say you have like a huge commercial building or something, right? Like, let's say like 500 units or something like that, or buildings, or machinery. Some people, to be honest with you guys, some people will not pay taxes on their capital gains depending on how their other businesses are doing, because then they can write off the income versus, some sort of depreciation or even expense, because that's also another thing. Just simply expenses. um if you do have everything set up properly, it's possible that you can write off, even in this space, like, at least initially, your equipment, trading subscriptions and courses, chat rooms. Some people, they don't pay for that. They'll pay for it now, but then it'll be written off against their income. So it's like they didn't pay for it. That's how the country's set up if you're doing it the right way, right? I feel very comfortable saying that on here too, because that's just a fact, right? We'd be foolish to deny that this country isn't set up a certain way for businesses, especially, right? So I'll say that with my chest on here. There are certain tax incentives for businesses. That's a fact that's out there in the country and in the world. I rewatched your credit card arbitrage video. Do you know if your method still works? It should. It should still work. although the interest rate right now probably is even higher. So if you do it that way, and I don't know if I mentioned how I got the cash off, but if you do it that way, you have to make sure that you're taking it slow and you don't end up losing, because then the interest is gonna hit you and it's not gonna be fun. That did happen to me. That happened to me and it was not good. Uh, it's just, you just don't want to be paying interest, man. If you can avoid it, you avoid it at all costs. If someone is doing well in a simulator, if someone is doing well in the simulator, what a probability? What's the probability? Uh, do you? The questions are weird, so weird. Do you have to do well in a real account? So what's the probability? What's the odds that you can do well in a real account? Well, here's the thing, Carlos, right? And if your English is not great, don't worry about it. It's not a problem. Even if I have to butcher myself through these questions, that's what we'll do. So, um, you need to be consistent in the simulator for at least a few months. You know, if you can be consistent in the simulator for at least 3 to 4 months, 3 to 5 months, let's say 3 to 6 months, right? At least 3 months though. And you're trading a strategy, you know, it doesn't have to be this hyper scalping strategy that I trade. It could be whatever strategy that's out there in the world, right? But if you're trading the strategy well and you're following somebody who's credible, and at that point your simulator is now a track record and it's backing up that you've learned the concepts, right? You've learned the fundamentals of the strategy. You're gaining confidence. You're being consistent. What gets people when they go from a simulator to a live account is what I like to call artificial pressure. You create pressure thinking that there's something that's going to be different. Like if I go into my simulator account and on Monday and I trade, you guys, like, there's a orange thing on the perimeter of the screen, right? If I was to like enlarge my screen to where you guys don't see that orange thing, because the left hand side of my screen is already covered with the scanner anyways. If I was to go into sim, you guys wouldn't even know a difference, because you're doing it the same way, right? And it's why we say process over profits. The process over profits. If there's a setup, right, where it's like, hey, identify support, have tight risk, be in and look for the move up. Like that process there doesn't change if you're in a simulator or a live account, right? So artificial pressure, artificial pressure, and a lot of that sometimes have to do with money or the fear of losing. You know, you think that the setups are going to be different because now you have a real account and that you can lose real money. But again, the mindset is what's important in the simulator. When I was in the sim, nobody couldn't tell me that I wasn't already trading in a real account. Like you have to be like, you have the brain is powerful, man. You got to do what needs to be done in order to get yourself where you need to be. Because when I was there the first week, I did a bunch of nonsense, not treating it real, not treating it seriously. But this at that time, the simulator was my only option. So I had to sit down one day and I had to ask myself if I'm capable. I had to say, are you really capable? Because if I couldn't treat the simulator seriously, I might as well have moved on to a whole nother field, because again, that was my only option. So I'm between a rock and a hard place, and what am I gonna do about it? So mentally, I had to get my head in the game. And again, the process, the reasonings as to why we go into a trade, the reasons as to why we have a certain risk, right? The fundamentals to taking profits in a trade, cutting the losses. That's what will make us, a successful trader, having that discipline towards that system that works. Not whether an account is real paper or not, right? So once you can get yourself mentally over that hurdle, when you transition to a live account, it is seamless. Now, the only thing that you have to really keep in mind is that there's a discrepancy when it comes to limit orders. In the sim, you can be filled right away all the time, your entire position. In a real account, you can get partial fills, you can get no fills. That's one big thing. In the simulator back in the day, you could buy into a halt level. Of course, in a live account, you cannot buy into a halt level. So, of course, you don't even buy, if you know that's the case, you don't do it in the first place. Never buy into a halt level if you know that that's something you cannot do in a real account, right? Because again, you're treating the sim with respect. Process over profits. And other than that, realistic share size. There's no reason to be taking 10 million shares on a $2 stock if we know in a live account we're only going to be taking 200 shares. Like, practice for what you're going to be doing, all right? Mobile, the recap is going to be out soon. I finished the month just shy of 8,000. So we recovered nicely, brother. Yeah, and the sim, you don't really get slippage. Yeah, slippage is another thing to keep in mind of, right? But yeah, in terms of probability, once you get over those factors and you've been trading and doing well in the sim for some time, then you should be able to do well. It's not guaranteed, but it's highly likely that you can do well. Other than that, share size, because share size is also something that can make us hesitate and or hold trades longer. So if you do go into a live account and you're using more share size, you do have to be aware and accepting those risks that you could lose bigger. And if you do, that doesn't mean you're going to average down, right? Uh, let's see. I'd never dismiss all the time I've spent in the simulator. I just wouldn't feel confident without it. Yeah, definitely, man. The simulator for me, if I had known about the simulator earlier, and I knew about it, but I just didn't know how good it was. Like, the first year I spent trading below PDT, just taking a couple trades every week and learning like that. Like, going back, man, like that year I could have learned so much more, so much quicker. Like, I probably could have became profitable. It took me 2.5 years. And from when I joined the sim, it took a year. It took like a year because January of that year to actually like, what was that, October? What was that, like 10 months? It took me 10 months. It took me 10 months of like consistently showing up every day rather than the nonsense of 3 trades every 5 business days. Like, that imagine that first year I could have maybe I don't know, but maybe with like a year and some change, maybe I could have, like, been that much better. But sometimes everything is for a reason. You can't really look at it in that way. The most we can do is, like, be consistent moving forward. Commissions kill me with CMEG. Yeah, CMEG is a tough broker, man. They have so many fees on that platform. Um, but sometimes if you're overseas, like, it's hard to, it's hard to get away to trade. People do things, but I'm not gonna say anything on here. I'm not gonna give that, any suggestions in that aspect. But it's a tough one, man. CMAG is a lot of fees out there on that one. But I mean, people might, some people might have been able to get it done, but it's gonna be very difficult with the extra fees. The commission-based brokers are really for traders who are just trading a few times a day. Some people, they trade 3 times, 4 times a day, 10 times. And so, the fees, they don't really mind the fees if they can get some quicker fills, perhaps. Trading in summer is the same, 7 to 12. JP, I find that summer trading is not too bad. Some people say it's a little slower as there might be more people on vacation, but, business as usual. Summer, we can look at some summer months throughout the years. We've had good summer months. We've had good summer months, I would say. June 35, July 43, and then 34 in August. Mind you, this year is not added yet. So in fact, the summer months have been outpacing the other months for me, because these months have already, happened, and the summer months are still like neck and neck. So if we're to do well in the summer months, we double up on these, and we're, around 60,000 on all three of these months by the end of this summer, right? March, February, of course, with this year being, so hot, is why February is like ahead by a landslide. October, definitely a month that I haven't done super well. September and October for some reason. And again, maybe this year, I mean, this is the thing with the market, right? You can't even look at this as anything definitive. What if February momentum comes again in October? And this time I will do better than I did that time. So by the end of this year, October could be leading with 130,000 on one month, like, so you can't really watch it, this stuff definitively, right? It's not seasonal. This year, January could be hot. Next year, January could be cold. Then the next year could be hot. It just kind of, it is just what it is. But trading, man, trading, I tell you, our equity curve this year, finally coming out of this drawdown, man. These drawdowns, you got to stay strong mentally, man. Even for somebody who's been here every day, the number one thing that I lean on is just remembering, who I am. That there's no drawdown that can do anything to me. No matter how big no matter how big the drawdown. Instagram trying to go. There we go. No matter how big the drawdown, right? So $8,000, $9,000 drawdown actually. No matter how big the drawdown, we can persevere. We can push through. We can improve. So, not bad at all. You're surviving this sideways and chop. So now we're pushing up, and the goal will be, can we get this all the way up, and can we push over 200K, eventually, like that. Just straight incline, straight incline, straight incline. And trading is a business, right? So you gotta expect that there could be some slow periods, and you gotta push through. Mr. Relentless. I like the Mr. Relentless. Were you a warrior trading student at one time? John, the answer is no. I never officially bought a course, but I did watch some of Ross's content. Likewise with some other YouTubers as well. I think, I actually, people might, like, disagree with this, but I actually think Ross is one of the good guys out there, man. You know, you never will know somebody unless you know them personally and you live with them. And same goes for me. But from some of the content that you'll see online, the guy seems all right. And was um Marcelo was a warrior trading student as well. So he did mention that the sometimes it's, you just got to give credit where credit is due, man. For somebody who, because Marcelo met Ross in person, right? He's like, the guy seemed all right. But again, you never will know somebody unless you live with them. But yeah, I mean, Marcelo met him in person. It's like the guy seemed pretty good. They hung out there, and I think, what is it, like Boston or something. They had a good time. Him and like a couple other people. Was I can't remember the people's names, but yeah, him and a couple other people met up with Ross, and they said they had a good time. So I don't know if Tim went. I don't think Tim ever went. Tim was also a warrior student, and then Tim met up with us, and we did some study sessions with Tim. We did some study sessions with Tim, showing him how we scalp, on TD. And Tim took that stuff and literally ran with it, like going from 16K in 5 years to now probably $1 million in like a year. I mean, that was insane. And I think we met Tim through the Discord. Like, he randomly joined the Discord one time, and we kind of, a lot of you guys are sleeping on the Discord. I tell you guys all the time, man. The Discord is where we hang out, and it kind of gets personal because we'll do virtual meetups where we show our face. Like, let me show you guys something, right? We'll do virtual meetups where we show our faces, and we're there like hanging out and stuff, and like we do these stuff regularly too. We do these stuff regularly, right? Like this is what it is. Like we're here chilling. The Discord is more than what people think it is. It's way more than what people think it is. And so, we'll meet up, we'll show our faces, we'll hang out, we'll have a good time, you know. It's not just, usernames and stuff like that. So shout out to Anthony, by the way. I'm telling you guys, people in there will sometimes be talking crazy, but they don't know, they don't know, they don't know. You got to be at these meetings to know what's going on, right? Yeah, shout out to Anthony. We've done this stuff many times. We've done it with students. Discord is a good place to be, man. You guys can check it out. So it does get personal, right? In terms of us getting to see faces. We'll talk on calls, things like that. But yeah, to answer the question, um, I am not a Warrior student, but I did watch some of his content. Um, I also think Humble Trader is good, nice. I met her in Vegas. She seemed pretty cool too. Um, she has good content too. She has good content. There's some other people too. I mean, I watched Clay Trader as well. I mean, John. I always say this. John at Beginner Trading is a nice guy too, man. John, good family man, working hard every day on the channel. He used to scalp more, but now he does more economic data. John at Beginner Trading, he's another good guy. He's a cool guy, man. He's a cool guy. He shouted out the channel many times. Like some people are just genuine. So shout out to John at Beginner Trading. He's another good guy. But yeah, I watched a lot of the big time YouTubers. So much so to where it's like, you know what, I think I'm gonna start doing this myself. And it really started for me trying to save space on my computer. And then one thing led to another, and before you know it, here I am. And I did speak with a trader on Friday that basically told me that I inspired them. And this person is doing well, had a nice $8,000 month, living down there in Florida. So I'll check him out when we go down, living down there in Miami. It's insane, because just like how the other YouTubers came before me, it's like people are now seeing me and are being inspired to learn how to trade. And I mean, it's something else, man. It's something else. Chicago meetup, definitely. And Rich, yeah, Rich, man, Rich, Richard, indeed. Wrong bet is. I'm gonna go there at some point. Wrong bet is from there, so wrong bet is from there. So for sure, there's gonna be something in the Windy City. Yeah, the T-shirts. After December when it didn't work out, I really didn't put it as a priority. But we'll probably have to do something and bring it back, man, and get it out there once and for all for the people. All I have to do, to be honest, is just find a good company, because when it comes to the T-shirt, for me, I'm not gonna look to make any money. It's just gonna be, hey, can we get it at good quality for the cheapest price? That way the audience can have something, right? One sec here, guys. One sec. I have to stop watching him. I have to stop watching because it seems as though there's negativity between. So oh, this did Trading Farmer have any influence on your trading style? The Trading Farmer is a very interesting guy, man. I'm not sure what his problem is, but he thinks that he taught us how to trade. I don't know why the guy. So here, we used to be, if you want to say, acquaintances, right? So we used to be acquaintances, if you want to call it that. I wouldn't really say friends, because it was like in the very beginning of the, if there were to be a friendship. And we could talk about this, right? Let's take a quick couple minutes just to kind of, for those of you who are here, so you guys can kind of understand like the story between like Farmer and us. It's weird. It's weird that he's doing what he's doing. It's very strange. But here's what it is, right? So about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I'm on my YouTube home screen, and I do see a recommendation of his channel. It's like, hey, a trading farmer. So I thought it was interesting. So I clicked on the video and I checked out the channel, and this guy was actually somebody who was a farmer that's trading. So I thought that was cool. So I checked out the video of that day. Turned out we traded the same exact stock and we took the same exact setup. And I made a video for the audience, my audience, talking about why share size is important, right? So I took a trade where I was in 2,000 shares on a dip. He took the same trade and is in 20,000 shares on a dip. So again, depending on where a trader is in their experience, their journey, there will be traders who are taking massive size, and we see this stuff even today with guys like whether it's in our community, outside of our community. If we just mentioned Warrior Trading, we saw that guy on GameStop take like 50,000 shares, like on a $500 stock, whatever it was. So we always know that with more share size, you can potentially see exponential gains. And at the time, that was a topic in our community, talking about share size, sizing up, just like how we would do these Q&As. And back then I used to do content. I used to do like way more content besides like a live stream and recap. So I made a video talking about the trade and how, as traders, we got to continue to push ourselves to use more shares and be aggressive. So that's how we kind of even became in like contact. And being the guy I am, I put a link to his channel. I'm like, hey, like if you guys check him out, let him know that Relentless Trader sent you over, stuff like that. So the initial contact was like pretty positive, like no anything, right? So from there, he reached out to me saying, hey, I saw that you made a video, that was nice. Thanks for like letting your followers know about me, like like giving credit to say that I saw the video, right? Stuff like that. So he asked me to do an interview, like, hey, like how would you feel about coming on his channel to talk about trading? So I said, sure, why not? Like we can network and stuff like that. So we did that, and then around that time, Marcelo and we were starting to work on MMU, right? And in fact, before I even get there, it was to the point where we almost we actually did invite him to our first team house trip, which was in New Jersey, right? And he was in the Discord too, like everybody else. He was in the Relentless Trading Discord. Yeah, I mean, the story is a crazy story. But anyhow, to not make it too long, Marcel and I, we were working on MMU back then, and so, you know, naturally we kind of like distanced ourselves, in that time, just locking in, focusing up, and when you're doing this business, there's this thing where you gotta look out there and see, you know, who and what your competition could be, right? So mind you, there's all these other channels. Ross, there's Humble Trader, there's Tim Sykes, there's this when I look at competition, this is what I'm looking at. There's the big dogs. Okay, there's guys like Farmer, there's whoever else that's out there that's making videos. Everybody on YouTube, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. This person is here. If they're in our community, great. If they want to be a part of what we're doing, that's okay. But at the time, he's like, yeah, he's not too sure about the team house. So, again, we just started to ease him off a little bit, focus up on ourselves, and we were making the class. So when we put out the class now, that's where everything kind of just got weird. Marcelo ended up leaving his Discord, and Marcelo is this kind of guy where he's a little loose. He's a little loose on the tongue. So the day Marcelo left, he's like, hey, this Discord is dead, I'm out of here. Something like that. So I don't know if he took offense to that and that we made a class. But again, we did kind of ease ourselves from him and some other traders. I mean, he's not the only one. We ease ourselves from some other communities as well. and we kind of just focused up on our own community. So we were leaving other communities because it's like, hey, now we're gonna try to like actually run a business rather than like just being friends with everybody and like mingling. And it's this thing where you try to like create separation, right? So I don't know if maybe that made him feel how he's feeling now, but to be honest with you, that's the relationship. Like, saw a video, made a video, shouted out the guy, did an interview with for his channel. Then we started to ease off a little bit as we started focusing on ourselves. Marcelo left his Discord, and here we are. The reason why I don't talk about it is because there's nothing to talk about, right? Like, imagine that story I just told you. What am I talking about? Oh my god. So, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it, you know? So, and it's why I'm saying what he's doing is weird because of everything that so this is what I think. I think the guy is a little, I think he feels a type of way that he's not a part of the team house because he had the opportunity. Because it's let's not kid ourselves. What we're doing, hanging out with each other and all this stuff is pretty cool. Like it's crazy. It's fun. It's we're all trading, we're doing well, and we have a good time. So maybe knowing that he could have been a part of that is what's like, eating at him or something. But why go such a route when what you could have done maybe is just reached out and say, hey, I'm interested in checking out the next team house. Yeah, I don't know, but I could tell what I could tell you guys is that any relationship there is dead. I will not be revisiting that because it's just weird stuff, man. I mean, come on, you know. But yeah, that's the story. Not to make it too long, but that's literally the story. So for me, there's no beef. For me, there's nothing to talk about like negatively. I mean, I think the guy is a good trader, but just doing some weird stuff for no reason. So yeah, that's about it. I could give the full story again on the YouTube stream so people just knows. But I mean, again, there's like nothing to talk about. Like when it comes to, let me tell you guys something, right? And I'll say this on the YouTube stream, like tomorrow or whenever. Like I was playing, so in the neighborhood I live, so I was playing some 50 cents music. You guys familiar with 50 cents, right? I was playing some 50 cents, and this guy comes up to my car when I came back and says, "Why are you playing this? Why are you playing this in this neighborhood?" Like in my he said in my neighborhood. So the first thing that comes to my mind is, how many buildings does this guy own on the street? Since he's saying this is his neighborhood, he has to own some buildings, some convenience stores. But this guy is like a thug, like a street thug, like, or at least he's trying to be. So, like he talks to me, I talk to him. Like, if you want to say beef or problem, like that's something real that I had to deal with just a few weeks ago here. So when it comes to somebody in like Wichita, Kansas, or whatever, like talking nonsense, it's like just it's not worth the time or energy, especially when there's nothing there, right? You can't create something out of nothing, or nothing out of something, or whatever the saying. You can't create nothing out of something. Like that's a real thing I have to deal with here, rather than like something fake online here. Come on, let's not kid ourselves here, and. Well, yeah, apparently, like 50 cents is like, where I live is not like the greatest place, ever. So apparently, like 50 cents is like, was in some sort of like, if you want to say gang or something. I mean, I don't know. And the people who live here, they're against that stuff. I mean, it's just, even that, and then this online thing, just think about how silly it is, you know? So this guy comes up to me. I thought this guy might have owned a few buildings or something. Like this stuff is just, you can't make this up. It's like, this is unreal. Just imagine the nonsense. The banks for letting us know. But yeah, I mean, if we don't have any more questions, we will shut it down because I have to get back to some construction work. I did post in a Discord, and I can show you guys. I got to get back to some construction work here in a sec. Today is day number 2. Day number 2 of construction. Pastor. Pastor was building and has to continue building and digging. So I got to get back to that. I'm going to be doing some cement work in a little bit. So I'm going to head out of here pretty soon. Digging down to the gallows. Digging down to the gallows. Doing some fencing. Doing some fencing. Doing some fencing. But yeah, if there's not any questions, like, we will shut it down. Be sure to hit the thumbs up, by the way, which I did not say the entire time. Yeah, I don't think anything else is coming in, brother. I think that'll do it. Pastor will be heading out. Let me see, is there anything on the Discord? I don't think any other questions came in. Yeah. But yeah, guys, in all, all together, when it comes down to the community, when it comes down to myself, we're very positive people. We're out here to learn, grow, grind, and become, better individuals. In the beginning, this was the dream, right? To be able to, get up to a level of gain where it's like meaningful when it comes to, life things, and being able to like just take care of yourself and have a good foothold. So we're doing it, and we're gonna continue to spread positivity, and that's what this community is. We're genuine. It's all about respect. It's all about love, and sometimes when it comes to networking, it's possible that things will happen, and unfortunately, not everybody will kind of be on the same page as you. But I mean, that's okay. We got a great group of people here, and we'll continue to push forward. One day at a time, one trade at a time. We are growing very quickly, and I think when it comes down to these big guys going back to competition, just believe that we are coming for them. We're coming for guys like Tim Sykes. We're coming for guys like Ross. Why not? We have to at least make it interesting, right? We think that these people are the big people in the community. Humble Trader, right? They're the big whales when it comes to like just content and these type of things in this space. So we have a game plan, and we're gonna keep pushing. We're gonna keep working, and in due time, one day, even if we can be half as big as them, that'll be great. But if we can surpass them, even better. Can we be as big as Humble Trader? I think she's the biggest one right now on YouTube. Tim Sykes might be the biggest on Instagram. He has like 3 million followers over there. So we're going to keep doing what we do. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep improving. We're going to keep studying. And as mentioned, we do have a game plan now that we're going to stick to when it comes to stocks like AWIN and BANI. We're going to make those necessary changes. We're going to improve. And, okay, there's a question coming in. We're going to improve, and we're going to strive for greatness. Progress is the only goal. And as you guys know, we're not chasing money. We're chasing greatness. Can we be better? All right. So one quick question here, and then we're out. Could you give me the link to Momo Pro? Momo Pro. Yes, indeed. That's something we can do. So if you're gonna use it, utilize coupon code Relentless for 25% off for 6 months. Rich, don't worry, we'll get those t-shirts to you one day. The t-shirts will come out. All right. Stay safe, stay green, guys. Take care. Take it easy. We'll catch you next time. It's been Relentless Trader. Tomorrow again, bright and early around 9:15 a.m. for the pre-market analysis, and then we'll trade live for about 2 hours. All right. Take it easy. Stay safe, stay green. Hit that thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right. See you later.